Hi, this is my initial response for the patient teaching video. First off, I want to say that I feel that healthcare has set us as nurses up for failure with the constant mentality that time is money, and the more time we spend with a patient, the less money that is being made. In this scenario, I feel that the nurse had a deadline, and the only way she felt that she could meet that deadline was to ignore those things that would have prevented the patient from being discharged at that time. For instance, the situation where she said that she was homeless. Um, she, to me, expressed caring when she vented to the other nurse about the patient and the fact that she didn't seem like she was taking things seriously and that she was homeless and that she just basically felt like she was at a loss and couldn't really do anything about it. That the biggest and most important thing was for her to get this patient discharged at that time. I feel that we all have moments where we ignore and or discredit certain things that patients say. So when the patient was asking about Percocet and the nurse ignored, to me, the nurse ignored her fear of being in pain and seemed to assume that she was just drug seeking. This is an uncaring moment, but I do feel like we all have been guilty of it at one time or another. And I think the nurse could have handled it a little better by asking more clarifying questions and determining if the patient was just being inquisitive about her pain medicine or if she was truly in intolerable pain. If she was truly in intolerable pain, then that needed to be addressed then before she was discharged and not just put off until her follow-up visit. If I would have been in the situation in real life, I would have started off by addressing the patient and her lack of interest in being educated. Even when it comes to her baby, she acted disconnected. The patient stated she was homeless, that's when I would have immediately stopped educating her and started trying to figure out what her plans were once she left. Where does she plan to live? Who is she going to have help support her and her baby? As nurses, we have a job to keep her and her baby safe. So it would have been completely inappropriate for her to be discharged knowing that she had nowhere to go and that she was living on the streets. At that time, that's when I would have been able, or I would have tried to get someone else involved, such as like a case manager, a nurse navigator, or a social worker. And then we could have addressed those situations before we moved on with the patient teaching. She couldn't have adequately taken care of her newborn without the proper means, such as having a roof over her head, the abilities to get formula if needed, and just diapers, the many other costly things that need to go along with it. Sorry. I would transfer what I learned into my practice setting by trying to start teaching as soon as admission has started. On top of that, we need to start asking questions about patients' plans once they have been discharged from the very beginning. Most patients have social situations that can be barriers to discharge, so if we can get ahead of that problem and try to rectify them, then we won't be blindsided at discharge, and hopefully everything will have been worked out before then. In my practice, I will try to be better about asking these questions, but also just teaching as much as I can at any situation or at any time that I can. That way, when it comes down to discharge can be fast and quick just because that teaching has already been done.